right, we will continue our availability. We welcome Carl Edwards, driver of the number 99 BB Geek Squad Ford, and Greg Biffle, driver of the number 16 3M Ford. Carl, third in points with 1 win. Greg, ninth in points with 1 win. You guys have pretty solid runs here at Michigan. It seems like a pretty stellar track for both of you. Carl, obviously 2 wins, 14 top 10s, and 18 starts here at Michigan. Talk a little bit about your success here at this track.
Yeah, it's a great track. First, I had something stuck on the front here. You might help me get that off? Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Just messing around. We had fun with that. No, we love Michigan. It's a lot of fun, and I actually beat Greg here. I was early. That's the only thing I've beat him at here, I think, for a long time. So I'm hoping that Greg is.
You beat me somewhere on timing. It's usually. Anyway,
I was in front of you.
Yeah,
I was just enjoying that at Michigan, being in front of you for something. But we appreciate you letting us do media together. We hope that we can get another win for Ford. That 1,000th win for Ford here was really neat. I actually got watched the other day that said, "Congratulations, Greg Biffle, and all this stuff, your 1,000th win." So I don't know if you sent that over to my hall or not. But we're hoping to get another win here. We've run really well, and I love this racetrack, so this will be a lot of fun.
Greg, obviously a lot of success for you too. Back-to-back wins here, 4 overall wins here at Michigan. Much success for you too. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, like Carl said, this is a great racetrack for Roush Fenway as a whole. We've back clear Jeff Burton and Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth. All of us have had really, really good, a lot of success here. Carl's won here a few times, so this has just been a good track for us. And I was worried about when they repaved it, what was going to transpire from that, and that's been really good since it's been repaved, and the track's really coming back in, racing a lot like it used to race. So I really love this place. One of my favorite places to come. You can run 2 and 3 wide, through the corner, kind of a downforce situation where you normally can't do that at most racetracks. So it's always a strategy, and always fuel mileage always plays a factor, and longevity. It's hard on engines here. So this is just a fun place for myself and our team to race.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions. We'll start in the back with Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Monzer from Germany Ranchmod Press Agency. One question for both of you. With this new Generation 6 car, do you start setup-wise or aero package from zero, or you can use any data from the previous car?
I think that it's pretty much we start with a kind of a modified setup from the old car. But one thing we've learned over the last little bit about the car is it's much more finicky than the old car was. At least that's my opinion. If we're off a tiny bit with this car, it goes from being, you're running in the top 5, top 8 or whatever, you're running 25th. It's so the fine line, and that's some of what we've learned with our camp is that, man, we got to be right on the mark with this thing, or we don't have any speed, And I don't know if it's just us or if it's this car in general or whatever, but we've learned that we got to be very, very right on the setup, and this car makes a, we thought a half pound or quarter pound or turn a wedge made a difference before, and it seems like it's multiplied that. So yes, we can use some of the old information, but we struggle with, you got to be just right on, and sometimes a couple hours of practice isn't enough.
Okay, we'll take a question here, and a couple of questions here in the middle. Dave, and then we'll go to Mike.
David Garicki, Detroit News. Brad Keselowski a couple of days ago was talking about how they were trying to politic real hard with NASCAR, with the Fords, to redo some processes to make it, more development, to catch up with the Chevys and the Toyotas. What do you guys know about that? He said everything will come into place when the chase starts. Do you guys know anything about that?
That's good news. I think as a group, I think Brad's been a big part. Joey's been a big part. I know Greg and Ricky and I have probably worked more together this year than we have in the past to try to just be one Ford, to be the best we can, and whatever it takes. I mean, if it turns out that we need to do some politicking for things to be different, then then we will do everything we can. But right now, I can only really speak for Jimmy Finnig and my team, and I'm sure Greg and Matt are doing the same thing. We're just trying to make our cars the best they can be for those final 10 races. You know, Greg's fast every week. We're fast every week. We've just got to find that last little bit in qualifying, that last little adjustment so that we can race with these guys. And from where we're at, all we can do is build the best race cars and drive the hardest we can. And we're hoping that gets us a championship. If Brad wants to, or if somebody at Ford wants to go work on bigger picture stuff, then we will help with that all we can.
Yeah, and the only thing that I really know about it, and which is very little, is that the car is much different now in the race trim package that we have now with the spoiler and the splitter and all of the way it ended up getting spec'd out. Much different than the original way this car originally began life and the way it was submitted. And all of our CFD work or whatever, all of our wind tunnel work around that has changed slightly. And so when they changed the spoiler and splitters and those things, did our car get affected differently than the other cars? Is kind of, I think that I've scratched the surface of understanding a little bit about what some of the talk might be, you know, between all the cars. One thing that we do know is our car has a lot of speed in it, a tremendous amount of speed. But there again, we have to be right on the mark. We got to be right on the setup, you know. And last race here, I remember, Carl and I were just talking about it when I walked up here. We were running 7th or 8th, and I was kicking and screaming because I couldn't get it to go any better, and I couldn't get it to drive. And we make some tiny adjustments. We gain a little bit more track position. We get out front through a pit cycle or whatever, and I got my car driving perfect, and off I went, you know. And yeah, the 48 was still faster than us and catching us a little bit, but you know, we were able to level out that difference in speed. It seemed like as we fine-tuned and adjusted in on our car, and so. You know, that's something that we're working hard on as a group is getting our cars, you know, as fine-tuned. And that could be part of it, too.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Mike.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Greg, how do you balance what you're going to try to do the next 4 races? You obviously a win or two would probably get you in the chase, but you can't have a bad finish either because of where you're sort of in that no man's land middle there. How do you balance all that?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not in a great spot. You know, Indy really killed us. That was a turning point for us. We felt like we were, you know, really on some momentum. We go there, qualified 27th, finished 24th. Never ran better than that all day, and that buried us in the points. We go back to Pocono, a lot better, finished 10th. Then we get caught 20 feet from getting onto pit road at the Glen and the caution coming out. You know, we came out of the pit cycle 6th. Then we got sent to the back of the field, you know, with 30 laps to go. So you're right. We just can't have things like that happen. We need to be able to finish where we're running, and we've struggled with that some. And the next 4 weeks are going to be who's on the plus side of that. You know, get caught a lap down because the caution came out, got this or that, or pit road's penalty or something. You know, and getting good finishes. We got 4 races left to do that. We're right in the middle of that bee's nest, and we understand that. But all we can do is as best finishes we can for the next 4 weeks.
Okay, if you want to go with your next question.
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Anthony Sabella from WILX up in Lansing. Guys, this track has been named Track of the Year in terms of fan experience these last couple of years, and you already touched on it, but in terms of driver experience, how would you say it ranks among the rest of them?
I think this is one of our favorite racetracks. I mean, we run well here. For me, this is the site of my first start, so it's real special for that reason. But it's just a fun place. Seems like the weather's always great. The racing's great. You know, the fans are really into it. The infield here is like really none other. It's pretty amazing out there. So I think it's a good experience overall for all of us. We all really enjoy coming.
Okay, we'll take our next question. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Wood of RacingToday.com. Guys, as longtime members of Roush Fenway Racing, I know that Jack is maybe slowly cutting back on what he's doing as far as hands-on, and maybe that will happen over the next few years, but he's 71. What is that going to be like when you wake up and you just don't see Jack here at the track every weekend?
I think that's going to be a long time before we see him not at the racetrack every weekend. But, you know, I think part of these things not having carburetors and looking at the spark plugs and those things, as technology changes, Carl and I are used to going in and sitting down with the crew chief, figuring out what right front spring we think we're going to start with and what front sway bar. And we don't do that anymore. It's the technology's changing, and so Jack's still involved, and he's has less of a role, but so do we almost, because the technology's sort of taken over a little bit. So I think you're going to see Jack around a lot and still involved, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's his team, and he's the leader. And since I've been here, it's nice to have that leadership. And so I don't want to see him step back. Hopefully he stays as involved as he can be. We really enjoy having him here.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Stan. Go ahead.
Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com here in the back. Carl, you started the season off with Jimmy Fenning kind of like a fresh couple just dating.
Yeah.
You were learning each other. This is the third race that it's the second time that we've been there this year. So have you all reached the point where, you're beyond dating and everything's great now, and especially ready to go into the chase?
Yeah, we fought over who was going to do the laundry there for a little while and stuff like that. But I feel like we're really getting into I think we have a very good relationship right now. I was actually talking to some folks about that this week that listen to the races on the radios and stuff, and I'm starting to really understand Jimmy, and it's true. He is as dedicated as he seems to be. I mean, he cares more about winning than there's nobody that cares more about winning than him. I mean, I've been around Mike Mittler and Jack Roush and Jimmy Fennig, and those guys they're unmatched. So I really respect him. We're starting to communicate better. I think for a little while he didn't really understand what I was saying. He understood it, but maybe not to the degree of, hey, I'm loose or tight or whatever. And I think we both have more faith in each other than we've ever had. So it's coming together really well in my eyes.
Okay, we'll take our final question up front. Go ahead.
George Poley, Macomb Daily. Guys, it's been a few weeks since the city of Detroit filed for bankruptcy. I'm just wondering if, since your team and your manufacturer are so closely tied to state of Michigan and its economy and everything, if any of that has touched you in any way, had any thoughts on it, or just whether there's been any kind of talk in your camp?
All I can say is that in 2008, I think it was when Jim Farley brought us all in and explained to us how Ford was in big trouble and that they were going to have to make some tough decisions to prevail or to make it through it. That was really sobering to hear him speak that way about that company, about our company, Ford. And to see how they came through that, making tough decisions, was inspiring. And I can only imagine that the decisions being made in Detroit are how tough they are. And, at the end of the day, it's, if the tough decisions now come out better in the end and make things viable for more people, then it's the right thing. But I've only, read about it. I understand it from a distance.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. It's, a lot of people, like Carl said, in 2008 had to make really tough decisions, and it's hard to, correct that ship, and Ford was able to do that well. And it takes a lot to be able to do that, and it's unfortunate that the city's gone through what they have. I know Ford has been a huge supporter of this area and has provided a lot of economic, jobs and whatnot. I think the ship will get righted and it'll be better. Like Carl said, once it gets going back to right direction, I think it'll be a good place.
Gentlemen, we thank you for your time today and good luck this weekend. But before we let you go, we have a quick couple of questions for you. It was announced today that NASCAR After the Lap will make its return to Champions Week in Vegas for the 5th consecutive year. You've both been a part of that. Could you talk a little bit about why it's such a fun event for you drivers?
Well, I hope I'm there. So that's all I can say about it. I'm really looking forward to being there and making the After the Lap award. But it's really neat that Ford has stepped up and and done the things that they're doing with the After the Lap award and sending some fans out there, and somebody's going to get to win a truck and a lot of cool things. And I think Carl and I are both excited about being involved in that.
Yeah, the thing that makes me nervous about that is it usually gets pretty loose and things are said and done, like Jeff Gordon breakdancing and stuff like that. And I don't know. Once it's done, it's like, was that okay? So the fans always seem to enjoy it. And it's the website's NASCARAfterthelap.com. There's a 2013 Ford Trimmer that someone's going to win.
2014.
2014, man. Yeah, I'm in denial about how old I am.
Have you seen that truck? The thing is pretty cool.
I haven't seen it. They said it's all blacked out. Really neat. And,
There's a sweepstakes someone can enter and win that. Is that correct? Prizes, all kinds of fun things.
Yeah, I guess there's a sweepstakes, and to enter, you go to NASCARAfterthelap.com. And yeah, it's a 2014. I sold it a little bit short there, but it's a trimmer, which is a pretty awesome truck. And each year, that's one of the neatest parts is that they actually give someone the truck right there in front of the whole crowd, and it's pretty spectacular. So I don't think they'll have any trouble selling
I wonder
tickets.
if we're eligible.
You probably already have one, don't you?
No, I don't.
You had the Raptor before.
Yeah, but it's got the
one. I didn't know how you got that done.
It's got the EcoBoost motor in it, and it's a pretty neat truck. And I wish I had one.
You'll have one.
Carl,
You have every car.
You're right.
He
I
knows a
will
lot
have
about
one.
it, Carl. I think he has
Yeah.
one.
I will have one.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Carl and Greg are headed outside to the media center to take a photo in front of the brand new NASCAR After the Lap Ford 150 Trimmer truck that will pace tomorrow's Camping World Truck Series race. Please join them for some additional photo opportunities. Thank you both for
thanks.
being here with us today, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys.